Hello.
Great.
How's everybody doing today?
I'm great.
There we go. All right. So guys, today we're going to be talking about creating buyer urgency. We're in shift tactic number 9. And, this is an interesting one. I read this one actually. I reread it, as preparing it here about 3 times, believe it or not, because buyer urgency is different now than it's been in the past. And so, like normally when we're running, and let me go to gallery view so I can see everybody in here. Normally when we talk about buyer urgency, we're talking about a buyer's market. What are some common traits? When somebody says we're in a buyer's market, what does that mean?
It means there's a large inventory, so there's a lot for the buyer to choose from.
Exactly. There you go, Robin. Great job. There's a lot. I mean, typically it means there's a large inventory. And we're okay. Good recording. Thank you, Caitlin. Now, do we have is inventory high or is inventory low?
No, inventory's low.
Low right now.
Exactly. So when we talk about buyer urgency, so today we're only going to talk about buyers. And obviously I got my PowerPoint here that's going to kind of help us out. Although there's some things about this market that's different than most buyers market, because this buyer's market is not loaded with high inventory. So typically a buyer's market, you've got inventories high, days on market is high. Listings will sit a little bit longer. We've got to create more buyer urgency. So in today's market, do we have a unique market though? Would y'all agree?
Yes.
Now, what is the biggest concern of this market? This is going to be a very open-ended question, so I trust to get some dialogue. What are some things about this market that we must be putting in our head and be concerned about? It's almost the what ifs question.
What if we go into a recession? What
Yeah.
if I'm paying too much right now?
Exactly right. What if we go? We don't know what the market's going to do tomorrow. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm watching the news right now. I'm seeing the world the United States specifically, get a little antsy to go back into to reopen. Would y'all agree? Anybody hear that governor? Oh man, I think it was Alabama or somewhere. Did anybody hear that?
Georgia. Governor of Georgia, Kemp.
Is it a guy or girl?
It's a guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The guy that said, "I don't care about political, whatever."
Something like that. He just, it's unbelievable to me, but so it is.
Well, what that is, that's very extreme. Got it. What's the point though? That people are starting to say we need to get back into. We don't know here's what we don't. Here's what we can all agree. We don't know. Would everybody agree with that? And so the main thing to go through here and understand is in this market is that it's no different. And this is what I told my coach the other day. We're talking about the market today. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We have a market that's based around of uncertainty. Interest rates are remaining very low. It's no different than anything else. We've got to focus on motivation. I continue to focus, lead generate at a higher level. Traits we are seeing, trends that I'm seeing. I get the numbers every morning, as does Jay, of our market centers. We're seeing a trend line of listings go down, not going in the system. Trend line is less contracts. There are more contracts, though, going under contract than there are listings going on the market. So that's a trend line to pay attention to. And at the same time, buyers are having hesitation of buying because they just don't know. They don't know about if they can catch anything. They got a different thing. So we're going to talk about a plan in here of maybe creating buyer urgency. And we may, as just with last week's shift, we may be using these slides and talk about how sometimes it doesn't apply, which sometimes is just as good as anything else. So let's get back over to our PowerPoint. Let's kind of look at buyer urgency here. Let me maximize this. Let's go to slideshow, play from beginning. Do you see one slide or do you see my slide deck right now? What do y'all see?
One slide.
All right, perfect. Awesome. I am getting better at using this with Zoom, which is awesome. So main ideas, perspective on creating urgency. No matter what the market is, we should be the expert. Would y'all agree? Would y'all agree we should always be the expert when it comes to pricing? Would y'all agree with that? I think I'm getting you where I can actually see your faces now. So let me get my new screen over here. All right. Creating a best buy list. We're going to talk about that in here. Doing our homework is that is about, obviously becoming the expert, finding them, facilitating the decision making, and of course the bottom line. That's kind of what we're going to cover today. Now, challenge. This is a legitimate challenge. Do most people are there a lot of people out there that believe that real estate is not moving at all?
Sure.
Yes. Has anybody
Yes.
ran into that by chance? Lily, I see you're on here. I want to see you. Turn on your camera, Lily. We want to see your pretty face.
Pretty face.
Say it again, Jay.
I said pretty face.
Yeah. So a lot of people, has anybody talked to somebody by chance and they literally thought the real estate wasn't moving? Did anybody do that by chance?
Well, I think what we're seeing, and a lot of people who aren't close to the real estate industry, but just chatter with their friends or whatever, they make assumptions based on the fact that, well, everything else is shut down. Well, people must not be buying houses right now either. It's just in general assumptions as opposed to actual factual information.
Yep. 100% agree with that. Larry said and that's what, and that is really, oh, sorry, not a good hair day. That's good, Lily. I love you. So Lily says it's not a good hair day. So she's going to use chat for a little while. Maybe we'll hear her voice. So that's all right, Lily. I got you. Larry, I 100% agree with you that people write their own stories. That when they write their own stories. So where do we come in then when they do what you just said, Larry? Where did we come in?
Well, we come in with market stats, come in with the actual factual information. I mean, for us in real estate, it's the same thing that they're saying about the coronavirus. Look at the facts, look at the stats, look at the numbers, let the science speak for itself.
Yeah. And I'm not, this is not going to surprise you coming from me, Larry, which means we have to pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. That's not going to surprise you coming from me, because I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we make is that we don't make the calls like we should. All right. So the media creates, more of a panic than anybody else. Now, it's interesting too. This is the next one is interesting. As I told you, I actually chose a couple weeks ago, and I know Jay's been doing the same thing. I'm using these slides a lot of times like they are, because there's a lot to learn where they're not correct. For example, buyers fear paying too much. Could a buyer think that right now they could get a great deal in the real estate market?
Absolutely.
Because they feel like the market stopped, and when markets, like if you go in and if you go to the grocery store and they got a wine they bought and that wine is not selling, how do they sell that wine?
Put it on sale.
They can lower the price, and if it still doesn't sell, what do? Lower the price. Lower the price. So here's the one about this one right here, this bullet point. And I want everybody to listen to this one carefully. This is where you become the economist of choice. These conversations is buyers are going to think they can get a deal, and the reality is, you talk to listing agents, they're still getting multiple offers. So this is where you got to educate them. Buyers don't have any sense of urgency. I think I kind of answered that one as well, is that you focus on motivation, understand these listings are going to disappear. We're getting offers on listings all across the board, and inventory is going down, which we know we got kind of a mixed message inventory. And many agents think it's not a good time to buy.
What agent would ever say that? It's always a good time to buy.
Yeah, it's interesting right now because if an agent believes somehow that they think the market's going to go down, they could unconsciously. I want everybody to listen to that real carefully, because our energy can have a big impact on this. All right, so these are some creating urgency challenges that we're kind of talking about in here. Now, the truth is, and if y'all don't mind, y'all see me up here. I'm going to read my screen down here every once in a while because I can read it better. So if I lose eye contact, apologize. The truth is, people are buying and selling homes in this market. True and untrue. I know Larry's got his unmute. Anybody else? I see Robin shaking her head. True or untrue? Are buyers buying and selling right now?
Yeah.
True.
I have 2 deals in contract, and both sides are, let's go.
We have not had a day where there was 0 going under contract. True. Thank you, Lily. Yeah, keep your text, keep your chat going. I got it on my screen so I can see it. Now, this is the next one I want you to understand. No one can truly time market. Where I can almost sum this entire conversation with buyers of this. You've got to lead generate at a higher level than you ever have to find them motivated. Because in a hot market, there are people that are warm motivated that still buy. Would y'all agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
In a weird market, people that are warm motivated will stay where they're at. Thank you, Tess. Tess has got her avatar on. She says she's bad hair day too. So all of us, by the way, if we don't get these salons open soon, we're all gonna have bad hair day. So my wife this morning told me I was getting out of bed. She looked at me, she said, "You look like a mad scientist." I said, "That's the nicest thing you've said to me this week." So we can't time the market. We can't time the market. Therefore, you've got to lead generate at a high level. You've got to find the motivated, and you've got to focus on their motivation. All right? And that can really sum up everything right there every time. So the solution is become the expert on the market and the economy. Larry mentioned it a while ago. A lot of you know this. Talk about the numbers. Know the numbers of the market. I won't lie to you. As a leader, I know the market better now than I ever have. I know the market better now than I ever have. Also, listen to the buyers in here. So listen to what they're saying, because here's what I think will tell you about perception. Larry said it a while ago, and some of y'all nodded your head. I know we got some comments over there. What do we find in the stats? Tess, hold that question. You may need to remind me of that, okay? I know the numbers now better than I ever have. MLS has the numbers. You need to know the hot sheet every day. So the hot sheet is how many listings went on the market in the last 24 hours, how many listings, how many went under contract, all the stats, how many went expired. Okay, does anybody in here run the hot sheet every day? Just curious. Larry, I see you shaking your head. Robin, yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you where the hot sheet came from. So the name hot sheet originated whenever we used to do MLS books. Now, I came into real estate in 2002, early 2002. We were all technology. Yeah, Lily's right. Lily typed in there, the hot sheet comes out in the morning. That's the best time to get it. You can get it any time during the day. In the mornings, you get it. The hot sheet was a sheet that they would do every day that was between prints of the MLS book. So you'd get an updated hot sheet between the prints of the MLS book, because they literally used to print them. So the hot sheet will tell you how many went on the market, how many listings, how many went under contract, how many expired, how many went from new to active, things like that. All I would tell you is you need to know your stats. That'll make you a much better agent and become the agent of economist of choice to them. Start paying attention to pricing and condition. And how they have an impact. Bless you, whoever that was. Match needs and wants. Lessen fears about buying. Okay, and then here's the last one right here, which is 100% true right now, more than any time else. Find good, reliable mortgage programs. Somebody asked me the other day, I was on a panel the other day, and it was from a market center out of Houston, and they asked me, they said, what do you see in the biggest impact as a market center, mass agents, seeing the numbers, what are you seeing as the biggest impact in your market center and your agents? And I said, the biggest impact is not COVID-19, it's the mortgage industry. Changing of underwriting changes, VA changes, jumbo changes, conforming changes, FHA, FHA scores going up. Would anybody agree that mortgage probably has the biggest impact right now on what we're doing? Would y'all agree? We got a yes from Tess.
Yeah, absolutely. Just had the conversation with a guy named Seth Kasner, who's my Keller Mortgage contact.
Yeah, mine too.
He's, so that's who I'm working with. And he's like, call me every day, because there's, things are nuts, things are stupid nuts, and things are changing. So, he goes, I don't mind if you call me every day after 10 o'clock. I can quote your rate on what the numbers are doing that day.
That's cool. And you need to have somebody that knows that. Now, being the expert, and you're going to know this next slide in here, you recognize this, is, this is where we got to focus more and more on our 20%. Just remember that any market that's shifting, and you can come in here and fool yourself. So someone go ahead and answer this question. So how does Keller Mortgage test? I don't understand the question. What do you mean? How does Keller Mortgage play into this?
If the mortgage industry is one of the things that you think is the most disruptive, and Keller Mortgage is sort of relatively new, right, to us, how secure are we in that
So
aspect?
the good news about Keller Mortgage is extremely, the number one reason that's creating volatility in the mortgage industry is because of lack of fluidity. They don't have money. And the small guys that don't have a lot of cash are going to be the ones that are going to be struggling. Keller Mortgage is infinite cash. They're very well funded, and they have resources outside of their own. So Keller is going to be just fine in this.
That answers my question.
What's that?
That answers my question.
Yeah. Gary, just remember this about Keller. Keller is extremely fluid, extremely liquid. That's the wonderful thing about being with a company that's privately held and with a guy like Gary, who is, I mean, how do I say this? Incredibly wealthy. I mean, he's just done well as a business to set us up for this market. So, Larry, I said you unmute yourself. Were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to add that, Keller Mortgage also has multiple lines of investors. Keller Mortgage is almost like a mortgage broker. So, you see this thing about the big banks are raising their minimum credit scores into the 700s, and we're all like, oh my God, that's going to wipe out, a good portion of potential buyers. There's other investors besides just those big banks available to Keller Mortgage.
Yeah.
There's a plethora of investors. If you talk to one of the representatives, they'll be able to paint that picture for you.
Yeah, absolutely. In multiple lines. That's the reason. That's why I say they have backup lines, incredibly fluid, very liquid, and a lot of backup. So, all right. So moving on, guys. As the market shifts, regardless of what you want to say about inventory low, we have a misleading market. The misleading market is we are in a shifted market. We're not in a full buyer's market. Sometimes we're in a seller's market. We have less people buying, less people selling because of all the conditions around us, which still means because of that, here is what we are. We have less listings going on the market, and we have less contracts going under contract. Now, what we don't know if that's going to be a long-term or a short-term. We hope it's short-term, and we hope it's something we get out by. I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing is in our markets like in the South, Texas, in Arizona, probably New Mexico too, don't know as much about them, but Texas and Arizona are very solid markets when it comes to people moving to those areas more than people moving out of those areas. Everybody with me? And those type of areas, by the way, another one's Florida for the record. Those three, it's kind of called the smiley face if you look at it. Those three markets, they're saying in June and July are going to be gangbusters because a lot of people are going to be more flowing here. And I don't know if y'all saw that Tucson got mentioned in the Wall Street Journal as one of the best places to retire. I don't know if y'all saw that or not. So when it comes to your lead generation, you got to think pipeline right now, find the motivated, find the buyers. And we're going to talk about all these different things in this PowerPoint on how to kind of work through buyer hesitancy right now. But lead generate at a high level, continue to follow up, have those that pipeline built, build that pipeline, and then of course have those appointments as they come available. Okay. Also, don't forget, work on your negotiation skills, become a premium in any kind of shifted market. And you'll notice number 5 is your market research. Now, anybody know what number 5 usually is? Who knows what number 5 usually is if you go to any class? Practice and role play. If you've done bold at all, you remember practice and role play is a big part of is number 5. And what I'll tell you about number 5 is number 5. And if you read Shift Book, you'll know there's about 2 spots in there where Gary mentions that it's 6. Lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments. Okay. Appointments with your prospects, as it says, negotiate your contracts, practice and role play, and market research. So make sure you add number 6 in there as part of your job description of the realtor. I talked about this one last week, a week ago on the other section I did when it comes to price it right. And that is, as you're going into these, this shifted market, you do have an active buyer. You got to understand in the market versus out of the market. And typically what happens in a typical buyer's market, here's what happens. But this is a seller's market right here. Okay. So this is kind of a normalized market. This is a seller's market. and this is a buyer's market. And what I'll say is, this is probably what we're in right here. This is probably what we're in right now, where you're going to have good portion of inventory is in the market, and it's not everything's in the market. And this is a true buyer's market where you have a small percentage in the market. Okay. So this is a really confusing time in here. That's the reason I kind of go through these slides fairly quickly, to be honest with you. So good time to buy. Reasons to buy. You got to focus on it. Interest rates, are they low right now? Everybody say yes.
Absolutely.
Rates are low. Incredibly low. Keep an eye on them. Be careful though. What can happen to people right now? Like Larry, you're working with Keller Mortgage. Are you refining a house, or is that something like a buyer you have?
I've got, it's a buyer that I have.
Have you had them ask you if interest rates have gone down?
Oh, we had to play that game pretty closely. When my client was in a short sale, and at the time she qualified at 2.75. By the time in the short sale took a while, and actually we had to get out of it because it was taking too long. But at the time we were making that change, the interest rate was 4.675.
Yeah.
By the time we got under contract and this buyer had a conversation with the loan officer about locking the interest rate, she was able to lock at 3.65 or 3.625. So
yeah, which is one that I just said they saw locked.
Rates are shifting. It's kind of, it's basically the other thing that, and I don't know if anybody saw it, most of you probably saw this story, but recently, about 3 weeks ago, when that interest rate hit that ultimate low, the refi volume went through the roof. So now the lenders are pricing up to avoid getting in too much business. So that's all refi stuff that they're dealing with, but now they're starting to move and push that stuff through. They're getting to 30 days on that since that happened. And now rates may get a little bit more reasonable.
Well, in the game, I mean, honestly, I couldn't have set you up any better, because the moral of the story is that be careful playing the game of, did interest rates go down? I'm going to wait because of interest rates. Are they going to drop again? Right? It's a dangerous game. Just understand that if you get something in the threes and they're motivated to buy, get them locked in.
Yeah.
Get them locked in.
That was the end of the conversation yesterday. She,
Yeah.
she was at, we had 3.5 a day or two ago. It went to 3.625. She's like, that's fine. This is changing the payment, $10. Lock it.
That's right. Yep. So just, it's what I want to know about that. What I want everybody to know about that is this, just know you're going to have to deal with it and learn how to coach them through it to go back and focus on motivation. Now, interest rates are high. Home prices can become affordable. Not necessarily, though.
Not in this market.
Inventory is not high. Now, let's talk about the economy. Do we have a strong economy right now?
No.
It's weird. Maybe the weirdest thing we'll ever experience our entire life. You know, the difference between this shift and any other shift is this shift was not, most shifts are caused by the real estate market or something in the economy like a stock crash. This was an outside source that came in to shut us down. And so, you know, the economy is just weird. I mean, a lot of people in unemployment. I don't know if you want to buy a car right now, I think it's time to buy a car. It's just go back once again. You may hear this 20 more times. Find the motivated, focus on the motivation, coach and consult them through the different obstacles. Your knowledge of the market is going to be at a premium right now. You know, your knowledge of the market, what's going on, is going to be at a premium. Okay? There's a reason you could all these things that are going on legitimately keep somebody from buying right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Yes. Thank you. So what I'm pointing about this is it all comes down to all understanding the market, focusing on motivation, coaching them through their holdups. Like, well, we're going to hold off for right now. So a role play. What's a question? Like somebody says, you know, no, we're going to hold off right now. Somebody, what would be a great question to ask right now? And somebody says, no, we're going to hold off for right now. What's a question you could ask?
Out of curiosity, what makes you want to hold off?
Yeah, there you go. Just curious. What makes you want to hold off? All right, what else?
Why is that important to you?
Yeah, what about, you know, thing I would say, Larry, was that Larry? I didn't look at the screen.
No, it's Jason Thompson.
Jason, thank you. Only thing I would say is a quick coaching on that. Always use what's instead of why's. What about that is important to you? Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You bet. It's just a small change.
What are you hoping changes?
Yeah, what do you hope changes? You know, here's a great one too. If you were to buy, where would you move to? That gives their brain moving forward. So here's my point. Learning to handle objections, because I don't have it in this slideshow nor this chapter, is there's this graph I have, and y'all seen it. If you haven't, you'll see it, where we have on one side it says an absolute no, and on the other side it says absolute yes. And there's a maybe yes, sort of yes, middle ground, maybe. Everybody with me on this? And so a lot of times what we see as an absolute no is not an absolute no. Everybody got it? They're reacting to the market. And so what I want everybody to learn to do in this kind of shifted market we're in is learn to understand the difference between an absolute no and I'm just saying no because I'm stressed about what's going on in the world. Everybody got it? Yeah. All right, good. So inventory, strong economy, weird economy. Now, number 5. Once again, I chose not to change this because if I can get you seeing on the screen how it's wrong, you'll actually learn more. Is unemployment low right now?
No.
Not. You know, understanding people's scenarios and creating trust. Like if somebody lost their job and you find out they got a bunch of equity in their house, like a bunch of equity, for them to survive, it may not. I'm saying it is or isn't. Selling a house maybe was going to help them survive. You know, selling it, using their equity, using that to live on while they find another life. Then go, well, I just ruined my equity. No, you're lucky you had equity. Everybody got it? There's a different way of looking at it. All right. So this is about being the expert right here. Determine willingness. We're talking about buyers, creating buyer urgency, and working through their challenges. I'm not going to read the script. It's just a little bit just compounding on what I already said. And that is determine willingness, which always means you're going back to their what?
Motivation.
Go back to their motivation. Remember, sometimes motivation, guys, is, you know, we talk a lot in Keller about big whys, big whys, big whys. And I want to get away from big whys, and I want you to stay in there. Probably in this moment, most people are focused on little whys. So what would be an example of a little why? How about survival? Is that a little why?
I
consider it a big one.
I consider it a big
Well,
one.
let me tell you why it's a little why, Dan, and I agree with you, by the way. I like you said that. I'm going to tell
That's
you why
exactly what I was thinking.
Say it again, Tess?
That's exactly my first reaction was, that's not a small one to me.
Let me tell you what it's not a big. Okay, so I'll tell you my definition of a big why versus a small why. A small why to me is a short-term why. A big why is a long-term why. Dan, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a different perspective.
Yeah. Don't disagree with why you said it, though. Not disagreeing. I will say, though, a big why is big picture, long-term, passive income. I want to, it could even get outside of money. It could be getting, I want to build a homeless shelter, whatever it is. Put my kids through college, all of them, nieces and nephews, everybody. That's a big why. Small why to me, a little why to me is something I need right now to survive. Somebody, by the way, a little why is paying the rent on time. Survival. Just getting a new job and figuring it out from there. So that's where you start determining their willingness. So just simple questions in here. What tools do you use to communicate your knowledge of the economy and local market? What do y'all think? What tools? This is not a loaded question for the record.
No, for me, it's being able to sit face to face and be able to talk about market stats, what's going on, and and be the expert about what's happening to build confidence in the potential client.
So absolutely, face to face is going to be the most effective. Obviously, it's the lowest leverage. It is the most effective, though, Larry. Exactly. And I'm a face to face. So email, of course, is always a function. We all know about email. Don't make them too long. And Lily, she knows I was going to go there. I'm glad she said it. Social media. If y'all like to go back, was anybody on my Mindset Monday yesterday with Rachel Adams?
Yes, that was phenomenal.
Man, I needed more than 30 minutes. I'm committed to making those only 30 minutes because I want to make sure people stay on them and listen. Go back and watch the recording of Rachel Adams and my Mindset Mondays on social media. She gave us kind of some rules in there on doing it. Okay, so about talking more about your, more personal than business, things like that. So you may want it. So social media. Now let me tell you about social media though. Social media is a place to tell a story. It's where you get to tell a story and you get to share information and you can become that agent of choice. So social media, you may want to think about doing a weekly video, maybe a monthly video on statistics, different things like that. So use the tools and communicate with them. And you have a lot of different tools in there. Where can I get reference information needed? MLS, just like we talked about a while ago. All right, now some things in here on creating a buyer list. This is going to move pretty quick. Builder promotions right now. Are those a good opportunity? They're builder opportunities. Builder incentives are going up right now. I know we had one of our buyers agents on our San Antonio team the other day that had a buyer, and during the buyer consultation, he called a builder, and it was such a good deal. It was a good deal for the buyer, and it was a 6% commission. So you may want to think about builder communities because they're going to get hungry quick. And a lot of times, you ever go look at market statistics and Tess, by the way, and others on here, stats is this Wednesday, isn't it, Jay, tomorrow? Jay, are you on here? Jay or Dan? Isn't stats this week? Uh-oh, Jay or Dan?
Stats is.
Sorry, I'm driving. 24th.
Got it. So what is the 24th? And that's Thursday?
Friday.
This Friday.
Oh, this Friday. Got it. Okay, good. Go back here then.
How are we doing that with the quarterly? They're doing stats at quarterly meeting?
No, stats class with Aaron Wilson is tomorrow
I was going to say.
during team meeting.
Yeah, okay, tomorrow.
So the 22nd.
Yep.
Is it the 22nd? We need to make sure of that. So, okay. 24th is quarterly meeting, right?
Yeah, that's Friday. The quarterly
Yes.
meeting.
That's correct.
Yeah. Sorry, I was off.
Yeah, no, more than anything, Dan, I just want to make sure we got a lot of moving pieces. The dates were right. That's all I cared about. All right.
I had to look down and see what day it was.
Yeah. Today's Tuesday. I checked. I need to be back when I was a kid and have days of the week on my underwear. So, I will tell you something to look for. REOs are probably going to be going up. I don't think it can't. As soon as right now they're not going to see going up, you're going to see what's called a shadow inventory. And shadow inventory is something you don't see. Is everybody has the government pulled off, and we got all these people that are holding off paying their mortgages or trying to make deals or doing forbearances. We all know that's dangerous. And they're trying to do their mortgages where they're putting it on the back end of the mortgage, all kinds of things. Once this is all cleared out, some people aren't going to make it through this, and we're probably going to see an increase of foreclosures. There's a chance, though, that inventory of foreclosures doesn't hit till when? What do y'all think?
That's a couple months out or 3 months out.
Or minimum. I mean, the government's going to do everything it can to keep them from happening. At some point, when they stop that, it's just going to be a dam that's going to what?
Break.
It's going to break. So keep an eye on that. I know a lot of the agents that are BPO agents, just so you know, and their BPO orders are going up. So they're going up a lot. HUD, of course, is just a FHA foreclosure. For sale by owners is a great opportunity to go get listings right now. All right. And I already talked about the builder promos on there as well. All right. So doing your homework on here. Does the market agree? Time on the market, no list prices, conditions, selling prices. Once again, I'm not going to go much more on this because we all know we got to become the economist of choice. You got to know your numbers. How often should you be reviewing market numbers?
Daily.
Market statistics.
Probably daily.
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 At a minimum, weekly.
Yeah, minimum weekly.
Minimum weekly. And what happens, I'll tell you what happens with agents is they review numbers daily. they actually have a higher chance of lead generating. Why do y'all think that is?
Because it gets them into the right mind of thinking. And if they're constantly doing a daily task, looking at something that's market driven, that they're going to be inclined to jump in and do something about it versus someone who is just getting the knowledge passively.
Yeah.
They're seeing
Momentum.
business happen and they're mad that it's not coming to them. So they'll lead generate.
There's 100%.
Momentum.
Tess, what were you going to say, Tess?
I just said momentum. It sort of builds momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so as you guys start getting lists of new homes on the market, you start using it to lead generate with. This is just basic advice. I heard Gary say this years ago. Don't give out lists. Offer access to the best buys. Get them to come to you. Show some houses to your customers on the list, and because those are the ones that are going to sell the fastest. These are just some basic lead generation tactics right here. Find it for them. Okay. So ask about their motivation and urgency. Couldn't say that enough. Going to find a time to teach on a really cool motivation model. We used to teach in Bold. Find about their motivation and urgency. Don't need to go through the details of all this. You know, why are they talking about it? Been really toying with a lot of agents lately on how to do better open houses virtually. It is you do it because the idea is this. If you think about lead generation, the idea is when you lead generate is to get them to put their hand up and say, yes, I'm interested. So asking questions and finding motivations about how well you ask questions. So they put their hand up and go, yeah, we're thinking about buying. So then you can start dealing with it. Open houses are a way to get people to come to the house so you can have a conversation with them so you can find out if they're buying or not. And if you can add anything into it, like why they're buying, what their motivation is, you can find out what's holding you, all those things you get in that conversation. Virtual open houses is another way for us to get people to engage with us in a different way than they maybe not have otherwise. So, you know, maybe figure out how to do better virtual open houses, how to get people, maybe learn how to use a Zoom account. I'll give you some tips in a minute on some things I've been talking to people about on how to do better virtual open houses to get them to click through. So Lily put on there because it's motivating to see stuff. Oh yeah, he should have put a comment on here. I think it's good to share. When you're looking at the numbers every day, it's motivating to see the stuff is selling and it helps your conversation. So, you know, ask about their motivation. Is it a second home? Is it, you know, what is the motivation here? Advantage of home ownership. I think that's really important right now. There's a lot of advantages that goes in your conversation of finding the motivated, and then show them what they'll buy. So you got to know their needs and you got to know their wants. You've got to know the best buys in your market if they exist, and, you know, take them out and show them what they're missing out. This is where in a buyer's market, market right now, when people are kind of hesitant, you actually may end up going through a few more homes. Now, you may do a lot more online stuff. You're going to have to show them what's moving and what it would look like for them to move. Buyers always want a deal. Would y'all agree with that?
Yes.
Buyers always want a deal. Learn, this is a great comment right here, by the way. Learn their definition of a deal. Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
What's interesting about pricing of a home, you know, an agent goes into a listing appointment before they ask the seller, what do you think your home is worth? A lot of times if they do come up with a number, a lot of times you think it's higher or lower what it's worth. A lot of times it's lower than what it's worth. And here's the funny thing is, if you didn't ask the question, if you ask them that, what do you think your home is worth? And they tell you a number lower than what it's worth, it just made you look like a what? Hello, Bueller.
A superstar.
It just made you look like a hero, a superhero. Exactly right, Hope. And so learn how to, here's some advice in general. Learn how to ask questions and give less statements. So they want a deal. What's their definition of a deal? Okay. What's the price of your home? What's their definition? Could be higher, could be lower. If they say a higher number than it's worth, at least you know what you're dealing with now. Have I got it? At least you know what you're dealing with on doing it. I know we're kind of moved to the seller side. This is more about buyers in here. Okay. Now, communicate the consequences of some deals. Anybody know what that would mean? What does that mean? Communicate the consequences.
Maybe the condition of the home isn't as good.
Could be. Sometime in today's market, a deal may not be a great house. Consequence of a deal could be deferred maintenance. Could be deferred maintenance. All right. All right. I'm going to keep moving through this one. What are some of those effective determining? Oh, there you go. I love questions. All right. What questions are the most effective for determining buyers' true needs and wants? Anybody got any questions? What are some questions that we can use that determines the buyer's true needs and wants? Some questions. Help me out.
What is important? What is important about a fourth bedroom to you?
There you go. Oh, great one. Who is that? Hope?
Yeah.
Great job, Hope. Yes, right on. What else? I love that one.
Are you on a timeline to get to move?
Yeah, there you go. Basic questions there. Okay. All right. Who else? What are some questions to determine buyers' true needs and wants? These are good. Go on. Who else? All right, one more. Who wants to do it? Give me a question. What's another question you can ask to determine a buyer's true needs and wants?
What is it about a third car garage that means
You can enter that question on anything across there. All right, cool. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. There was a story I used to tell years ago in a class about a buyer and let's say in Arizona, somebody buys a house and the buyer says they want a fireplace. In general, would y'all agree that a fireplace is not a necessity in Arizona?
Yeah, quite the question there be, well, how many times do you actually think you're going to end up using a fireplace in Arizona?
Now, I'll give you a little bit of a different direction on this one. There's something called wants, needs, and values. A value can take something and convert it from a want to a need. And I'll give you an example of this. And this is a story we used to tell years ago in a different class we used to teach. Let's say the buyer, they say they want a fireplace. And like Larry said, our logical mind says, how many times can you use it? And you go, what is important about a fireplace to you? They go, well, we just really want a fireplace. Is there anything specific that causes you to really, really want that fireplace? Because as we know, in Southern Arizona, our temperature is a little bit warmer and it's not going to get used a ton. And you finally dig and you find out that they grew up in Michigan. And then you find out that every Sunday, they would all go to grandma's house and the grandkids would sit in front of the fireplace and grandma would read to them out of a Bible or a book, doesn't matter. They'd read to them sitting around the fireplace in the wintertime. That fireplace has more meaning to them now. Would y'all agree with that?
Yes.
Now, it doesn't mean they buy a house with a fireplace. It means that you actually know why that is important to them. Could that help you help them find the right house, even if it means not having a fireplace?
Yes.
So remember, sometimes handling objections is not that you're going to try and overcome it or try and convert them. Sometimes overcoming objections is about understanding why the objection. Everybody got it?
Yes.
Good. All right. Awesome. So moving through here, facilitating making a decision, features versus benefits. Okay. You know, it's interesting about talking features. As a fireplace is a feature. What is the benefit of it? And so, you know, understand that when you can really operate more from features and benefits and concentrating on motivation and why they have that motivation, that helps you. You know, features are more logical. You can see amenity based. Benefits are more emotional. It's going to pretty much continue that conversation on in here about the emotional side, the why side, that fireplace, et cetera in there. All right. So keep going through here. Cost of waiting to buy. could it cost them a lot to wait to buy? What are the, so you'll hear this a lot right now. We have certainty versus uncertainty. What are we certain about right now? What are we certain about right now?
We're certain that nobody can predict where things are going to go.
Okay. What else?
We're certain that it is uncertain.
Well, I get it. But what are we certain about though? What do we know? We know interest rates today are what?
Oh,
Low.
No.
Historic low, 60-year low.
Right. And we know today they're low. What we don't know is they're low when.
Tomorrow, next week.
Right.
A month
We don't
from
know
now.
they're low tomorrow. We know they're low today. What else do we know? What else are we certain about?
People are still buying and selling homes.
We know that there's sellers wanting to sell. We know that the market's not really necessarily going up. It's not necessarily going down. We're kind of in a flat market. So when you start talking about cost of waiting to buy, understand certainty versus uncertainty. What we know versus what we don't know. Don't get emotionally attached into the outcomes, and just know the difference between the two. So tax benefits is one if they're a renter. Delay of building equity in your home. That's a big one right there. Selection of the best homes is limited. Is that true, by the way? That is actually a true statement on this one right here. And we don't know if after this, we don't know if it's going to skyrocket again and rebound and go up. And we don't know if it's going to go down. Focus on their motivation. Focus on what we know. Focus on why they would need to buy. Focus on their motivation and dig deep on that. Okay. And right here, and this is a great next screen right here. I think it's next one. Yeah. Removing fears. If there's anything I want you to get really good about, and that is asking questions. Fear of paying too much is always a fear in any unstable market. Would y'all agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you got to work past that fear and let them know prices could go down after this shift. We don't know. They could go up. Interest rates could go down. I mean, if oil can go to a negative number per barrel, anything can happen to interest rates, okay? So you got some fears in there. How do you deal with fears? What's the best way? When people have fears, how do you deal with them? What's the best way to deal with that?
I think to remind them that you're the one guiding them. And I know it's easy to say, don't worry, but don't worry is a good phrase for things that you can handle, like paperwork or negotiating and what have you. And I think looking at their reason why, if they see themselves moving in a long term and they're tired of paying rent, talking that up. What would it mean to you to live in a house, to have a home for your family, to build a legacy?
Got it. And when I hear what you're saying is knowing what the real fear is. What is the real fear? I think that's what I'm hearing a lot in what you're saying.
Right.
So removing fears is digging deep in the fears. Why the fear? Lily put in the chat box over here, knowing the market. That's a great way to work past fears. And I think you answered it, Hope, actually, and that is dealing with their fears is truly digging on what the real fear is. What are they really concerned about? If it's something that's like came on the transaction, you get to remove that away from them. That's removing a fear. What's the market going to do? Ask questions. Focus on the motivation. Focus on why they're buying. Focus on the benefits of buying. Okay? The cost of not buying. Now, if you'll notice, I want everybody to get something real quick. This is kind of a off side learning on this slide. You'll notice one thing, because I said the benefits of buying, while this one said the cost of waiting to buy. One is working on pain, the other is one dealing with pleasure. To be honest with you, I said benefits. I want everybody to understand, though, people are more motivated by what? Moving towards pleasure or away from pain?
Away from pain.
Away from pain. Now, I said benefits, and honestly, I'd follow the screen, and I would do the cost of waiting to buy. The cost of waiting to buy is very much different in there. So fears about commitment, about making a commitment, okay? Interesting, put option period in here. This is written in Texas. Inspection periods in Texas are called option periods. So this is your inspection period basically right there and doing it. And if you do a buyback guarantee, which not all people are doing anymore. All right, so facilitating a decision making. Talk about incentives. Now remember, this is more dealing with a true buyer's market. You know, improvement on allowances, pay early move out on renter's lease. That's a seller would do that in a true buyer's market. Pay buyers closing costs, lease purchase options, mortgage buy down, seller financing. Remember, all of electric cars, love that, electronics cars. These are items, most of these are items that happen in a true buyer's market. Literally, we've had sellers in a true buyer's market pay off a lease for a buyer. Can y'all see that happening in a buyer's market? Probably not going to happen in this market right now. Doesn't matter though. Know how to negotiate. No incentives, concessions, what you can get away with and what you can't. All right. Close. Is this a house you want to buy? If you love this house, someone else does too. That's actually a great one in this market. The good houses sell fast in any market. I always say the good ones always sell fast. The next person looks at this house can make an offer. These are closing statements. How would you feel if someone else bought this house tomorrow? That's a great screen right there. Would y'all agree?
Yes.
There's some really good scripts in there. So bottom line is you need to be the local expert. You know, by knowing your numbers, studying the market industry, getting on some of these events like we're doing, being present, team meetings, all these things, is hearing it constantly. Okay. Learn how to educate your buyers. Learn how to articulate why right now is a good time to buy. By the way, you're not gonna be able to do that unless you focus on their motivation. What are their buyer fears? Create a buyer's best list. Of course, now you're going to go into what are their wants and needs and then facilitate that final decision. So in this market right now, what do we need? What are the keys what are some keys to take away from this conversation for us to create buyer urgency? What are some things on your mind right now? Some notes you're going to take away of what you've got to really, really focus on getting buyers and finding them motivated and getting them under contract. What do you get? Tell me some things to take away from this conversation.
Know your stats and research them often.
Okay. Know your stats. Boom. Love it. All right. What else?
Helping them work through any concerns that they may have, or again, overcoming their fears or overcoming their objections.
So let's ask the group across the board, and Larry too. How do you do that?
It goes back to asking them the questions, find out where they are in their heads.
So asking questions and then asking open-ended questions that I'll always, if you ask a close-ended question, like what time is it? I'll an open-ended question.
We're gonna have a high desk and just.
Hey, Dan, mute. So you ask an open-ended question. Now, what else do you have to do? So you ask questions to dig. What else? After you ask the question, what do you need to do? What do you need to do?
Shut up and listen.
Listen. Listen and don't think about the question you're going to ask next until you've listened to what they had to say. Even if it causes a delay. Even if it causes a delay.
Better yet, so what I'm hearing you say is that you're what's holding you up is XYZ. Repeat back to them what they said so they know that you've heard them.
So that technique is called confirm and repeat.
Yes.
So just start learning to do confirming and repeating is a great technique to buy. So confirming and repeating, which by the way, gives you more time to think, believe it or not. So confirm and repeat. What else? Listen, ask great questions. Focus on their
Needs, wants, and values.
And their motivation. All combined in there together. Great job. Focus on their needs, wants, and their values. All right. Takeaways. Give me some feedback. What are your ahas coming out of this?
one of the things I get is if you have a couple, for example, they may have differing wants and needs. So trying to bridge that. I think that's important. So that's a good time to talk about expectations. But I find sometimes the two need to agree, you know, and come to some kind of agreement so that you can find them the best home.
Love it. Love that. All right. Anybody else?
If you're really paying attention to, and I'll piggyback the couple thing in my latest example. On Friday, we saw 8 houses, and I took it upon myself to just watch how they reacted and how they talked to each other going through each house. And, you know, we went through 7 and they're like, well, you know, and I'm like, well, there's one more on the list that we didn't go by. We kind of set it aside, but, you know, we have time. We might as well go see it. As soon as they walked in the door, oh my gosh, look at this. And between the two of them, both of them had same positive reactions all around the house. So when deciding if this, you know, it was a good priced house, you know, my fear was someone else was going to come in and scoop it up. So I said to them, you know, if you feel like this is the house, this is the first time I've seen the two of you walk through here with the oh wow factor going on.
Yeah, there you go.
When I said that back to them, they're like, yeah, I think we want to make the move.
Yeah. Watching their body language, that's listening right there. Watching their body language. So Lily put on here, and thank you, Lily. She put great information. Love the quick script at the end. Remembering to listen to understand. Love that. And listening to understand is also body language, is like Larry was just talking about, watching them and doing it. All right. Any other ahas, guys?
I would say for me, some of the, I'm not going to be able to work them through the challenges if I don't know the information that I need to share and how to share it, being the scripts.
Yeah, there you go. And there was some good scripts in there. I think Lily said that is some great scripts at the end. Guys, yeah. You can download these all at kwconnect.com. You go to resources, KWU, and don't go into the classes. There's one specifically for shift. And I think you should go to materials. I think you can download them all right there. If you can go out, you can download the pamphlet. Jay's teaching number 10. Jay, what are you teaching on Thursday? 10? Right? Jay, what are you teaching on Thursday?
Jay bailed.
I have not bailed.
Oh, there you are.
My brain is in lockdown mode. I'm sorry.
Number 10, expand the options, creative financing.
Yeah.
So we'll get somebody in here. Yeah, he had a good guest last week. I heard he had a whole house get somebody on there and talk about creative financial. That'd be all about financing. That's a great one, Jay, right there. So, well, guys, appreciate you being on here. I trust you got something out of it. We're going to keep delivering. If you didn't attend the meeting on Monday at 10 a.m. to yesterday, we had about 55% of the markets that are there. That was not bad for short notice. We worked over the weekend. Really excited about our KWSA Cares plan. I hope y'all appreciate what we're attempting to do for everybody and making everybody get through this time. Sign up for Bold Pivot. You get your May office bill waived. Sign up for do $100 in Facebook ads through Command. Get your June office bill paid. So make sure you get signed up for those. Go to mapscoaching.com and go from there. So if you didn't go to the Monday, it's been published on the
KWSA Cares.
KWSA Facebook page, the group page. It's on there. You can go watch it. It's about 35 minutes total. First 15 tells you everything you need for the most part. And you can go to kwsacares.com and go to the actual website that shows all the benefits. So does anybody on this call have any questions around the CARES plan? What do y'all think? What are y'all thoughts?
I think it's great. I mean, coming out, for me, it just came out of the blue, and it's like, wow, it shows that the company really does care about keeping us engaged and in the business and moving forward.
Well, that was our intention, so I'm good.
Yeah, no, to me, pretty amazing stuff. I would challenge to see if any of the other companies are doing anything even remotely close to that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Our focus was on our agents and doing something that we could do, and hopefully, we're doing things to keep our overhead moderate as well, so we can do those things. The more money the company makes, the more we have the ability to pass it through, right? They all go together. So, well, guys, I appreciate you. Offices, I'm talking to a small group here, but offices are getting busier. We need to continue while the shelter in place is going. We need to still go up there, use the office. We got to be careful of rooms more than 10 people in a gathering. We'll still keep our social distancing. I think May is going to be the month. Bold Pivot is a great time to come for May. So, guys, see you. I will see you later.